What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Raid Shadow Legends, and we are on the Iron Twins boss. This is Magic level 15. I just wanted to kind of showcase the team that I've been using to clear this since I started working on this after getting back from vacation. I figured this awakening system is going to be around, so I might as well dive into it and see if I can go ahead and start getting some teams that we can farm stage 15 with. For this one, we are going to be using the GEOMANCER and AOX, the Rememberer strategy that a lot of people have already showcased this strategy, so I don't really know who to give credit for coming up with it at first, but I just know that I've seen a lot of videos on this. A lot of other content creators were using the same strategy, and with what I already had built on these champions, it seemed like the easiest way to go. Now, I am using Mithrala as my lead here because she does bring in a pretty hefty accuracy bonus, so I didn't have to build people as high with the accuracy. She does have the 80 aura for the accuracy, which is pretty nice. We are going to use Doom Priest just basically to come in and cleanse off the debuffs. She's going to kind of team up with Mithrala to bring us some extra cleansing and some healing. We've got Brogni in here for some shields and for the block debuffs. That's pretty huge for this boss. And then obviously GEOMANCER is going to be doing the HP burn. AOX is going to be extending that whenever he gets hit. We got a little bit of extra poison damage that does come in here. But this was pretty much just a team that can get this done pretty quickly and fairly efficiently so that we can go ahead and start using our keys on level 15 once we're able to get to that point. And then when I get there on the other affinities, I believe I'm pretty close on Force and Spirit just from playing throughout the week. I'll probably be trying the same team somewhat, just probably subbing in some other people for the affinity. For Brogni, we're lucky enough we can bring in Duchess. We've got Tatura, we've got Helicath as well, but the primary strategy here is just to have GEOMANCER do his HP burn, extend that debuff, and then have our other three champs basically coming in to do the damage mitigation to keep everybody alive so that the boss just burns himself to death. That's pretty much what we're going to stick with. I'll go over the champ builds once this we play through. The two matches here, we do lose Brogni here at this point, and this does kind of happen toward the end, but we've already got the boss down low enough where it's not going to matter. That is the one thing about this team. They are not 100%. It's more like 85%-ish because they did die a couple of times when I was trying to get some footage for this, so that's just one caveat here. It's going to be tough to get a team that's 100% reliable, just given the RNG. Obviously, the 3%. If GEOMANCER doesn't land his HP burn for whatever reason, if it gets cleansed off at the wrong time and he doesn't have the cooldown back, that's going to be kind of difficult. That's why some people are running their GEOMANCER in the reflex set or with the refresh accessory so he can get those cooldowns back a little bit quicker. And we did disable his A2 as you saw in the presets so that he's only getting back that HP burn or not wasting time using that other ability of his. And if you're using the reflex gear, that's something you're going to want to do so that you're not refreshing the cooldown on something that you don't want him to use. But overall, I found this to be pretty effective. I'm not going to be spending gems to farm this, so I just wanted a team that I'd be able to clear 15 with once it came around during the week, whichever affinity opened. So we just really focused on re-gearing a couple of champions here. We only did Brogni and GEOMANCER for this because you'll see when we get into the gear, my GEOMANCER was basically kind of in a test build for Nightmare Hydra, so it's pretty easy to just kind of swap him over to use him on this boss instead. I'd rather focus this, honestly, than Hydra. This is surprisingly a little bit more enjoyable, obviously, than Hydra. You don't have to sit there and manual it for 20-30 minutes if you're trying to run some of the higher difficulties. But we'll get into the gear here in just a second. But there you go. Two pretty successful runs. Almost got our fastest time there, minute 22. So this is a pretty nice little team we've got going on. Kind of, for me, it's budget since I've got 3 epics. We've got a fusion champion and we've got Mithrala from Hydra, so not too bad. But let's go ahead and take a look at these champions and get into the gear. Alright guys, so let's take a look at the champions that we used for that run. We're going to start off here with Mithrala Lifebane. Of course, you get her from doing the Hydra boss and getting those champion fragment drops. She's completely worth doing Hydra for. Really solid champion. Void affinities makes her really good. And the main reason we had her in is first off for this accuracy aura that she does have, 80 in all battles. That kind of helps our GEOMANCER get over the threshold there to be able to land his HP burn. The other thing too is she also does cleanse a little bit and has a shield, which is pretty nice. That kind of stacks a little bit with our Doom Priest cleansing and our Brogni shield. So just a lot of good synergy between the champions there. And she does put out the Hex debuff, which lets us do a little bit more damage. Obviously the increased defense is also going to help there. So she's just a really solid overall champion for this content, since she does so much and does help your survivability. We had Brogni in there. He is a former fusion. Now, I didn't really do much with him. He's kind of in a very old build, and he's very slow. He's very high resistance. That's why we don't see him getting too many of those debuffs from the Iron Twins boss, but we just got him in a shield set to kind of start the team off with a little bit extra survivability, and then obviously he is going to be able to grow that shield with his abilities, and also he's got the block debuffs, which is really good for this as well. So if you're looking for another champion like this, maybe bring in a Tatura. The Duchess obviously is really good here. Even Helicath, he doesn't. He's got the block damage there at least, which is pretty good. So it's mainly just about having a couple of champions that you can stack mitigation and survivability with. Since the Iron Twins boss does do quite a bit of damage. Obviously we have our Geomancer here. Now I am lucky enough on this account. I think I actually have 4 Geomancers. I've built 3 mainly so that I would have one for every Hydra key during the week. This Geomancer 3 was actually going to be built for Nightmare Hydra. I have since repurposed him for the Iron Twins. That's why he has so much accuracy. You see he's at 577. Then you put that Mithrala aura on top of that. That puts him at 650, which is plenty to do the final boss with. He's kind of fast at 224. That just kind of was a coincidence from using the perception set. His HP and defense are pretty bad actually, but with all the shielding and everything we get from the rest of the team, that kind of helps mitigate that a little bit. We got AOX in here. This is obviously to help him extend those debuffs. That's really the only reason we're using him here, although he does have some healing here with his Lore of Restoration. And passive obviously increases the duration of 2 random debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn, occurs once per hit. I really like AOX. He's one of my favorite champions in this game. I actually haven't rebuilt him in a while, so we kind of just threw him in there to see if he'd work, and he did, so we didn't wind up having to rebuild him. So he's at about 460 or so accuracy with the Mithrala aura there. Probably need to re-gear him a little bit if we're going to continue to use him in this content for a bit more consistency. Then the other nice thing too is my Doom Priest. I didn't really have to do anything with her. I don't think I've actually touched her much at all outside of giving her this 2-piece set from Bommel to give her a little bit more resistance, because we did start to use her on Hydra a little bit, so I wanted her to be able to resist some of those debuffs. She's in a basic Relentless set here. That's why she is proccing a lot of extra turns. And you can see I don't even have glyphs on 4 pieces of this gear. She is booked. You don't really need to book your Doom Priest, and I do have her actually all the way down here in War Masters so that we could get some extra damage against the Hydra boss. Probably should redo her Masteries at some point as well, but you can kind of see, like I said, the build is not great. She is kind of fast at 221, 397 resist. HP and defense, again, could be a little bit higher, but it works for level 15. This is what we were able to come up with, and like I said, stacking that mitigation between Mithrala and Brogni, even Doom Priest in the Relentless gear, doing the cleansing non-stop, and then also healing a little bit too. Just very helpful to increase your survivability, and then basically it's just AOX and Geomancer doing all of the work there. So that's how we were able to beat Magic 15. I'm going to try this team out too on the other ones once we get to level 15. We'll try to get some videos done for those as well. Probably we'll have to substitute in some different champions on those given the different affinity changes. But I think, like I said, with Brogni, if you bring in somebody like a Tatura or a Helicath, you've got a pretty good chance there. If you happen to have Vizier, you can use him for that debuff extension. Even like a Bulwark, if it's built well enough, can kind of help you out there. So a lot of different strategies you can come up with. I know a lot of the other content creators have been really doing the Geo AOX thing pretty hard, and that was just the easiest one for me to do, mainly because I already had them built. I've got 3 Geomancers built already in various states, so could always just grab one of those. That's why I did this guy here. Just took him from the Nightmare Hydra build I was working on, and just kind of went and put him into the Iron Twins and jumped up his accuracy a little bit just in 3 perception sets to make sure we can get as much accuracy as possible onto him, with still making him pretty fast and somewhat survivable there. So that's kind of a look at the team I use for Magic 15 and Iron Twins. It's not really 100% success rate just yet. I'd say it's around 80% or so. I did have a couple failures when trying to record this, but it works well enough. It's obviously you want something 100%, so the energy is a little bit more efficient, and that's why we'll tweak some of the gear and continue to work on it. But at least we've got a team here that allowed us to complete 15 in a relatively quick time. So again, just you guys can kind of take the same concepts from this video and try to apply that. Even if you're struggling on some of the lower levels, some of the strategies hopefully will help you guys get through some of this content. As always, guys, if you have any questions about anything in the video, feel free to leave it down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get you an answer as soon as I can. As always, hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you again next time.